Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Dark Art Society podcast. I'm your host, Chet Zar, and today we have an interview with Dustin Myers, who's a great painter, really nice guy. I've been a fan of his for a long time, and it's great to finally have him on the podcast. I'm sure you've seen his work. If you don't recognize the name, you'll recognize the work, I think. Anyway, we had a great conversation, so that's coming up. I don't really have anything new to report as far as what I've been up to, just catching up on things that got set aside for my show. And so I'm just playing catch up and almost caught up, which is great. Went to the DMV today. That was exciting. Yeah, nothing really going on other than just boring catch up and getting ready for the holidays. About to release the mystery boxes in the next, probably by the time this podcast is aired publicly, they should be up, I think. Those are always fun. Okay, if you want to support the podcast, please go to patreon.com/darkartsociety, and you can join for as little as $1. If you join at the $5 level and above, you get 20% off a skull from Skull Shop. Here's a Skull Shop skull. I think it's a child's skull. It's great. I've got 1, 2, 3. I think I have 3 Skull Shop skulls. And I need to get some more. They're great. Anyway, SKULLSHOPPE.com. Join at the $5 level on the Patreon. Patreon.com/darkartsociety. Get 20% off. Skull Shop. If that makes sense. What else? Oh, you also get your name read in the air if you join at the $1 and above. You could also join for free, which I noticed people have been joining for free, which is cool. There's a free option, and then you can, if you decide to go up to a paid tier eventually to try and support, that's cool. So just getting people on the free is great as well. So come on over and join for free, and then maybe you can, if you have an extra $1 one month, you could just pay for it for 1 month, and you can go back down to free if you want. Anyway, we've got 2 new paid subscribers, and one is James Anthony Martin. Thank you so much. And Ken Vant Ship. Thank you, Ken Vant Ship. Thank you for making it happen. Really appreciate it. That's it. Let me see my little notes. Yeah, that's it. Okay, here we go with Dustin Myers. I hope you like it. It's a good interview. All right, here we go. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
Doing pretty good. Can't complain. I just got off of work, and here I am hanging out with you. So, yeah, seems like a pretty chill evening so far.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on. I've been a big admirer of your work for a while now, and I really appreciate your technique too. I don't know. I feel like we've got similarities in what we're doing. I feel like with the portrait thing, and kind of like,
oh yeah,
it's almost like I'm doing kind of monster versions and you're doing like human versions, because they're both kind of, a lot of the stuff I do is kind of funny also. So
definitely. I remember like starting out, like looking at your stuff and kind of like using it as not an example, but just like I guess like a motif or like a theme of like, oh, hey, this guy can do these sort of portraits, like why couldn't I kind of do something kind of like along the same vein, because I've never really been somebody that's been into like super like not like busy paintings, but like I enjoy paintings that are kind of like oh, hey, here's a subject matter and let's get really into the subject matter. And
yeah.
I guess I can respect people who put like, so much shit into their paintings and it's like all over the place, like Where's Waldo sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. But like when it comes down to it, I just want like this really nicely done like thing that you just put all your attention into, and like how deep can you get into this one specific subject. And that's something that's always like attracted to me to, certain types of paintings.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love having space and backgrounds, and the focal point just being the character. It's more about the kind of the character and the emotion of the character and stuff, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, and I also appreciate people that really fill in every space, like Chris Mars or something. He just has all this stuff going in there, and I love it. But I also really, I don't know, I love, that's why I like, one of the reasons I like Gabe Leonard. I don't know if you know Gabe Leonard, but he was just on the show today. We just did it today. I'm recording you a little early for next week, but he's same kind of thing. He's got figures and he keeps the background kind of amorphous and just cool and weird and psychedelic, but simple. I just love that feeling.
Yeah.
You know, simple backgrounds.
Definitely.
But, you know.
Yeah. I feel like, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, but people are always like, you should paint more backgrounds because it's like, I've done it for so long. So now I have been painting some backgrounds a little bit more, just
I feel like that's
that.
That's the direction that I'm kind of going in as well. I feel like I'm like I'm very not academic, but like I feel like I need to understand the level that I'm at to be able to expand.
Right.
And I feel like when I first started painting, I just went to like a regular art school, but they never really taught me this. But like I just would paint monochromatically, you know, just black and white, just because I felt like I need to, like, master is kind of a weird word, but I need to figure this out to the best of my ability. And then after I do that, then what can I add on to this? You know?
Wow. You intuited that just on your own?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because it's like that's funny. I was scared, you know, like I couldn't really deal with color. So it was like, what are the like least amount of variables that I could use to articulate what it is that I'm thinking about? And it's like, let's just black and white, you know, like, but at that time I was using, I think, just raw umber and white. And like, you know, I would just do all these paintings that like, I just very much just like wanted to express, but like I didn't even understand what the concept of indirect painting was.
Right.
You know, like I just knew like I needed to do this, but like I don't know how to do color, so like I'm going to figure it out in black and white. And then I figured all that out, and then I started to realize, oh hey, there's this thing that I can do. Like if I got this black and white underpainting, which is almost like this this statue like maquette that I created, then I could color it by applying transparent color and you know, like moving on from there. And now like I feel like I've kind of figured that out, and now it's like, what's the next like level of expansion? And it would be like trying to be a little bit more into backgrounds, and then, you know, like I don't know what's going to be after that, but I would assume it's more narratives and figurative and allegorical, you know, like sort of craft like that. But like I'm still like needing to like, oh, save my game and then level up and then level up and just make it a very natural progression.
Yeah. So I want to hear your artist origin story, because I definitely want to get into painting techniques and stuff, but let's do your story. How did you get here? Were you an art kid and all that stuff when you were little?
Oh yeah. Like when I was younger, I think like the furthest back memory I have, like art wise, is I remember my dad owns a body shop. My parents own a body shop, and like I remember going to work with my dad when I was younger, and him paying me like a quarter to, when I was really young, to like copy like comic strips, you know, just to like sit down there and draw.
Oh,
and
cool.
Like, you know, oh, I can like look at this, Dad. I copied this comic strip, you know, and then can you give me a quarter, you know? And it's like like it kind of just grew from there. And I just remember loving, like I started off painting with tempera paint, like in middle school, and acrylic paint and whatnot. And like I really loved painting with my fingers when I was a kid. I don't really do that now with oil paint, but I just was always that kid that enjoyed painting, you know, like I never really had like I enjoyed sports in high school and stuff, but like it was always about just going home and painting, you know. I don't know if that was something that I got from my dad because like he had a body shop, or if it was just something that like intuitively like I just was drawn to, but like it was just something like that was just like, I guess, like my thing, you know, like it was something that was always my thing. I don't ever remember like having a thing before that, you know. It was just attached to my identity, you know.
Were you the art kid in school? The artist kid?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I remember there was this one kid. I don't want to like name his name if he's like watching this, but like he was so much better than me in high school, and like it just kind of like, I wouldn't say like pissed me off, but like it was very much a like a drive to continue to do better with what I was doing. Cause like I knew for sure this dude was like so much more talented than me, but like I just knew like I had this thing inside me that like I need to do this. You know, I don't know why, but like it was like a thing that you just like breathing and eating. Like for some reason I just needed to continue to do this.
Right.
And I feel like I've kind of like gone above and beyond where he's at currently, but like in high school, like it was very much that like origin story of like that's what made me who I was, because I was kind of like low key in competition with this other kid that I just wanted to make sure I could prove myself that like I could do this, whatever this is, you know. And like here I am, you know, 25 years later, you know, still doing it and just trying to be as active as possible.
Yeah, I think that's true for so many artists. I think people don't like to, it seems like artists especially don't like to talk about the word competition, but I think people that are really into it, you have your art heroes, you have your peers, and that inspire you, and it makes you want to do better because you want to do, you want to do better than they do, and it's like it's
definitely,
it's a great healthy thing. It's not bad competition.
Yeah.
It's not like I want to screw this guy over. It's like this person makes me want to get better, and it's in a way you honor them too. It's like you honor their work by being inspired enough to try and do better. And then, you know, ideally that goes back and forth and everyone just kind of gets better from it.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the expression co-opetition?
No, that's a good one though.
It's basically like the collaboration between competition and not collaboration, cooperation. Sorry, yeah, cooperation and competition, to where it's almost this like playful sort of like way of beating each other up in a way to kind of make yourself tough, to enable yourself to kind of face these same type of hardships that you will when you get into the real world. Like the idea of like lion cubs like play fighting with each other, knowing that they're toughening each other up, and it's not real, but then there's also this part in their maybe subconscious or whatever where it is real. And then it does develop strength, but then it also creates unity because you're in collaboration with this person, but then it's almost like you're back to back facing the world, but then you're sparring with each other like on your off time to make sure that you're keeping your shit, you know, like nice and, you know, sharp. And like I feel like that is extremely important, especially with like having like siblings or, you know, like rivalries when you're younger or whatever, as long as you don't take it too seriously, because it's not serious, because in the end, nothing's serious. It's like, but can I use this to gain, and then also make sure that, you know, obviously this person that I'm working with is also gaining as well. So it's like good for me. It's good for me and good for everybody, because why not? You know, like I'm not here to put anybody down, but I'm also wanting to use everything to my advantage to push myself up, and everybody should be in that same position.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's awesome. So, okay. What next? What came next? Were you going through high school, and it sounds like your parents were super supportive, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine my parents not being supportive. Yeah. My parents were extremely supportive, almost to a fault.
Yeah. Mine were too.
I love them dearly for that. And like, it sucks imagining. Yeah. And it's like I couldn't imagine where I would be right now if I didn't have supportive parents. And that was one of the reasons why I did end up pursuing art after high school. And I went to Cal State Fullerton, which was a great school, but it was more so like a conceptual school. It wasn't a school that really taught me any like techniques or physical, you know, like way of like, oh, this is how you paint. It's more so like, oh, this is how you should defend your artwork, and this is how an artist should think or whatever. And like, you know, at the time I thought that was kind of stupid, but then now I think it is nice to have those sort of like thoughts in the back of my head as to like why are you doing this? Like, what's the purpose of this? You know, but
you have to know, like, you have to know how to talk about your art. You know, if you're going to sell your art, you have to know how to talk about it. That's actually an important skill. And let me say this too. I did my first artist talk at Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was probably 2010 or something.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It's just like,
I think I was probably there, or if not, like I was there between like 20 or 2006 and 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. So it was like probably right around the same time I was there.
oh, that's so funny. Yeah. It was a kind of a big thing for me because someone emailed me and asked me to go speak, and I'd never done it before. So I had to kind of figure it out. It was cool though. I liked it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Okay. So, back to you. You're where were we at?
Cal State Fullerton.
Cal State Fullerton.
It was, it was a pretty good school, but like technically speaking, like I was more so interested in like learning how to paint like Rembrandt. I was looking to learn how to paint like like the old masters, and I was just under the assumption that you go to college and that's what they're going to teach you, because it's like that's what college is, right? But then you get there and it's just a lot of like hipsters doing like some minimalistic sort of art, yet they're able to talk about it and defend it in a way that makes it seem like untouchable, and it's like it's like so good and whatever. And it's like, no, dude, I just want to like sit there and render something, and I want to like really make it like feel like it's like coming out of the canvas, and like can you give me that? But then that was something that I had to figure out on my own, which then in the end, like I'm still in the pursuit of that like figuring it out. But like I realized that like I'm not really somebody that's willing to learn from somebody. Like I need to directly experience it and go through the faults and like the like the goods and the bads, and I figured out myself the best. Yeah, and it's like that's the best way to learn. I'm pretty hard-headed when it comes to somebody teaching me their way, because now I'm like smart enough to understand what people are trying to sell me, and like I need to like figure that shit out myself. So then at Cal State Fullerton, I had some of my friends that were going through what was that thing that LC was doing, the Cannibal Flower.
Cannibal Flower,
like
that's where I got my start too.
Yeah, I had some friends that were and I had some friends that were doing Cannibal Flower back in like 2005, 2006 ish. And I never got into Cannibal Flower, but I went to some of their shows, and I ended up my start was with the Hive Gallery.
Oh yeah, I know Nathan. Mm-hmm. Me and Nathan like came up together through I forgot the name of the gallery space. It was Cannibal Flower and this other Area 54 or that's not it, but it was like some gallery that Cannibal Flower used to show in sometimes, and they would have their shows. But yeah, I remember when he was sleeping in the dock at the at that gallery with rats running around, just like junk everywhere, and sleeping in a sleeping bag. It's hilarious. So yeah, I'm friends with him and very familiar with the Hive. So that's awesome. You got your start with them.
Yeah, that was such a cool start, because like that was like there's a few friends that were showing at Cannibal Flower, and like I was showing at the Hive, and it just felt like so cool. Like while I was a college student, like, oh, here I am, I'm a professional artist.
I made it.
Like I have my work. yeah, and it's like then I ended up like selling my first painting through the Hive, and it was like a 30-inch by 40-inch painting. I think I sold it for like $400, and like it's just insane to think of like it was like at that time when I was like 22, 23 or whatever, like that was like, I wouldn't say it was a lot of money, but it was just like such a good ego boost knowing that somebody was interested in like putting my I'm gonna live on your wall, you have space for me.
It's so exciting when it happens.
Yeah, what the hell? And that's what I wanted. Like that was the whole reason I wanted to do this from the get-go, is just to kind of like have a presence on somebody's wall, and just like I don't know, like it just felt like that was it. Like there, you can't really top that feeling, regardless of the amount of money that you're going to get or fame or whatever the hell that comes along with what you're doing. It's like, wow, somebody's going to like they're looking at that, like it's part of their daily life as they're like walking through their entryway. They're in their bedroom, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, it's true. They live with it. They're living with your work. It's a trip.
Yeah. It's like, that's like, sometimes like when I think now with like where I'm at, it's like whatever it is that I experience now, like that can't pop that,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's it's insane, because it's like, oh, like maybe I'll make a little extra money now, more than the $400 I made back then. But it's like, in the end, like the money doesn't mean anything. Obviously it's nice to like make rent and, like have food and whatever, but the actual feeling of somebody just being interested enough in your work to like choose that, and like it's difficult,
Yeah.
to imagine anything beyond that.
Yeah,
But
I understand. What year was this when you first started showing at the Hive?
2006, 2007 ish,
Oh,
like
okay.
around, I think I sold my first paint at the gallery, or at the Hive, at I think 2006 or 2007, somewhere around there.
Okay. Yeah, that's around the time I started showing at Copro, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think I was probably, I don't know. It sounds like I wasn't that many years before you when I started showing at the Hive, just like three or something.
I remember
3 or 4 or something.
Yeah, I remember you having a featured spot at the Hive when I had like I was part of their group show or something, and I was thinking like, wow, that'd be so cool to like be up in that front room or whatever, and then maybe like 6 months later, Nathan asked me to be in that front room, and I was like, oh wow, like this is it, like this is that, like, progression, that ladder that you're climbing or whatever. I did that, and I don't think I sold, yeah, I don't think I sold anything, but it was just that, like, that feeling of like, wow, like how many eyeballs saw my stuff, and like, is that something that like somebody's going to take home with them, and like they're going to think about it, and like, like it was just a weird, like, cool. I don't know if it was just a boost to my ego, or if it was just like something that like I needed, but like I just enjoyed that feeling of like knowing people were sucking in my images, and somehow it was like becoming part of them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so then what?
Then I ended up randomly getting in the show at Gallery 1988 in Hollywood.
I used to show there.
Yeah, and it was I think it was like 2007, 2008, but it was a Crazy for Cult show. Which was about like,
I think I was in that
and like
too.
the painting the painting that I did was not like, it was like this tree that was like made of who's that guy from Seinfeld? Like the Kramer from Seinfeld?
Michael Richards.
Yeah, it was Michael Richards, and like he was like playing paper rock scissors with I don't even remember the guy's name, but it was from the movie UFC, or not UFC. Was it UFC or
UHF?
What is it? Yeah, UHF. That's it. Yeah, okay. The 3 letters. Yeah, UHF. And I remember like being really excited about being part of that show, but then I remember them kind of like tucking my painting like in the corner of the gallery, because I don't think it was like the most amazing painting. And I kind of went to the gallery, thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be so cool. But then it was like kind of like in the worst possible position.
Oh man.
Kind of like it deflated. Yeah.
No, I totally relate to that, because I got in this show with like all kinds of big artists. It was a juxtaposed museum show. So it was like the biggest thing I'd ever been in. It was in Laguna Beach, I think. And
the Laguna Art Museum.
Yeah. And Michael Husser was in it, and I mean all kinds of people, Robert Williams, and I was so excited.
Mark Ryden.
Yeah, Mark Ryden. Everybody was in it. It's like all the people that have been in Juxtapose. And I got there, and me and Michael Husser were outside of the gallery in the little corridor before you go in the bathroom. It was totally a separate room, and it was, like a little in between room to go into the bathroom. It was just like, that's kind of lame. It was like, oh my God. So anyway, I can totally relate to that, man.
Yeah. It was a nice kick to the ego, but like it was cool to at least like be associated with that gallery, because like I think in that show, like the biggest one was Crayola was part of that show, and I really liked Crayola's work, and it was just cool just to say, oh yeah, like I hung in the same room as Crayola, blah 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 or whatever, but anyways, that didn't really lead to anything. But then not lead to anything, it at least like allowed me to know that I could do this, even though I didn't sell my painting. And then what was after that? I think I just did like for the next few years, I just did a lot of like random ass like group shows at like different galleries that like just gave me a reason to paint stuff. And I never really sold anything for like the next, like, I don't know, like 5, 6 years. Like
Wow.
I never really, I never really like made money off of what I was doing, you know, like it was like a weird, like hobby that I just never really assumed people would be interested in spending money on, you know, like, and like I very much like I have like an outlook that like is like I very much view art as like an end in itself versus like a means to an end. Like my goal is to continue to paint because I love the act of painting, you know. It's not going to lead to anything in my mind beyond the ability to have more time and more space and surround myself with people that support me to continue to work on the painting because I love doing this, you know.
Yeah.
So like I've in my head, like I've already reached what it would mean to be like a successful artist for me, even though like I was making zero money off of this because like I was just going down this path that was like just following my own bliss, you know, just more interested in like what it is that makes me happy, and whatever the outcome of that is, like, you know, if you like it, cool. If you don't like it, that's cool. Like, but like this is allowing me to grow in a way that like nothing else in my life has allowed me to do. So like for like 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, like after that, like I was just continuing to paint, you know, entering these group shows, you know, trying to get my shit seen. But then eventually I ended up showing at the art bar. Have you ever been to the art bar in LA?
Yeah. Oh, I've heard of it,
It's
but yeah, I've never
yeah,
been there.
it's owned by LC from Thinkspace. He co-owns it with like another
Right.
girl.
That's right.
Yeah, so I ended up like, it was one of my friends that ended up like sending me like some sort of like, I think it was like 2019. They sent me like a email saying that they were like looking for like an open call for art or whatever. And then I was like, okay, whatever, you know, and I ended up like submitting like, you know, 4 or 5 of my paintings. And then they got back to me saying, oh yeah, you know, maybe we can like, you know, have something in the bar or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. And they chose this painting of this cat that I did that was a 24 by 36 inch it was like a cat with like 8 eyeballs, and
I saw that one.
they yeah, and like I love that sort of stuff, but at the same time, like I was like, okay, but I was working on this like awkward school photo sort of like painting that like for some reason I was just drawn to and I was into, and then when it was an 8 by 10, the smaller awkward school photo, and like I ended up taking that with the cat painting to the art bar, and I hung them both up, and like Ken from Thinkspace ended up seeing like the smaller awkward school photo, and he invited me to a group show at Thinkspace in 2020 at the height of the coronavirus. And it was like a group show that was like all about like smaller sort of like, I think it was called tapas, which is just like a small like you know, like small little food, like Spanish food that you would eat.
Yeah.
So I gave them 3 paintings, and then none of them sold, you know. So it was just like, okay, cool. Like I'm just expecting to be this artist that doesn't sell anything, and I just want to continue to like follow my bliss or whatever, you know. But it's like that's already hardwired in my head. So it's like, regardless, like I'm going to continue to do this. But then what was it? I ended up doing another painting that was like a 9 by 12 painting that then I was like, oh, hey, I have this like I had the foot in the door at Thinkspace. Like I'm going to try very hard to like try to get like how can I take a step further or whatever. So I ended up doing this 9 by 12 painting, which was another like awkward school photo, and I sent it directly to Andrew at Thinkspace, and I was like, hey, you know, blah blah blah. Like I just did this. Is there any way that you have like openings for like future group shows or something, you know? And then he got back to me saying, oh no, this year we're like not we don't have anything open, but if you're interested, like if you can give me like a series of these, you know, maybe like 5 or 6 of these, like we can do like a small little like solo show in our like office or something. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, you know, like that would be really cool. And I ended up doing that, and then he set me up with like a group show or I mean a solo show, like I think it was the following year. I'm not sure. I think it was like that or like 6 months later or something. And that show was the first time showing at Thinkspace, and that all 6 of those paintings ended up selling. Cool. And that was like the first time in my life that I was like, what? Like how is this? And it sold for a lot more money than I thought I would ever be able to like sell off of a single painting, you know, because it's like I'm doing this out of a labor of love, and I genuinely love what I'm doing. But then, you know, like somebody else is like, they're noticing that, you know, like I'm able to like have that like blissful sort of feeling, but also like, you're gonna like give me money for this, you know, like that's pretty damn cool, you know. And then and after, then after that, like that's when Copro ended up getting me into the Blab show. I think once they saw me at Thinkspace, then I was in the Blab show. I think it was like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And then I've been doing the Blab show the last like couple years, and then I was showing with them at the LA Art Show, and then I had another solo show at Thinkspace, and then you know, once you get into like these bigger galleries, then like you become like noticed. So then people start to think that, oh, your stuff is actually like real art or whatever, you know. Then they start trying to like get you to show at their galleries or whatever. So then you get these random ass people hitting me up, and it's like I'm very happy with where I'm at currently, you know, but now it's interesting to like kind of like, I guess, not turn down work, but like to like I guess be more selective with what I'm doing, you know, because I'm very happy with like the routine that I'm in now. So it's almost feels like, oh, hey, now I'm in more control instead of like trying to fight for something. It's like, no, I'm very happy with like the commissions and like the people that are representing my work, and like, you know, just where I'm headed. Like it's a weird feeling that I never imagined that I would be able to have, but here I am having it.
Well, I want to make the point to the people that are listening, because a lot of artists listen to this podcast, but a lot of younger artists that are trying to break in the fine art realm, listen to this show, and just take Dustin's anecdote to heart, because you know, you always hear this thing about there's gatekeepers, and it's really hard to break into the art world, and you know, it's not fair, they're not letting me in. But the thing I keep telling, I mean, people that say that usually are thinking about the high-end blue chip $1 million selling galleries and museums and stuff, which is a whole different trip. But in the at the level we're showing, which is, I don't know what you'd call us, pop surrealism, whatever, I don't even know how you'd categorize like Copro and Thinkspace and stuff. But at that level, you can't, it is actually like a meritocracy at that level. I think it's one of the few places that exists in the world today, really. It's like, if your work is good, you can email a gallery, and if it's good, they'll see that, and they'll be like, okay, we'll give you a show, or we'll let you be in a group show. It's not like anyone's trying to keep you out. It's, you know, if anyone who's, you know, if you're not breaking in, maybe you need to work on your, you know, make your work better, because it's like, if it's good, you'll get in, you know. It's, they won't turn away a really good artist. And it's like, you didn't even have like a big sales record, you know, because that's,
no, I had absolutely like nothing. Like I honestly, like I had zero. It was kind of weird, you know, like, but then I also like, I think the main thing that I did have was like an extremely high standard to my own work.
The work,
and like,
was good. The work was good. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. I need to have something that like my standard, I feel, is like higher than anybody, you know, like obviously like I'm wrong with this, but like, I feel that my standard is like so high that like I need to make it to that standard before I can like give it out, because like it's for me, you know, like it's for me in the end, like it's for me. Like it's like, maybe I'm going to sell it, but like that money is like, it means zero to me, because like, or not zero, obviously, like I like money or whatever. Everybody likes money, but like, it's not like I'm not trying to achieve the money. I'm trying to achieve that feeling that I get like in my my soul, or whatever the hell you call it, you know, like in my brain of like I reached this like this peak, and now here I am like looking like from a new vantage point, because I achieved that little extra something from putting that into my work. And now guess what? Like, I'm going to do it again. Guess what? I'm going to do it again. Guess what? I'm going to do it again. And you continue to do that until you get to that point to where it's like, I'm going to, like, I don't know, like, I just want to be like at 85 years old, like continuing to do exactly what I'm doing. But my scope, my bandwidth is going to be so wide, because that's what I've been adding to this entire time, is just like making my shit more juicy, you know, like, and that for me just makes me feel like I'm being more alive, you know.
Right.
And then the cool thing is that then I feel like people will notice that, you know, but you have to abandon the idea of anything beyond what it is that you're currently doing, for me at least, because then, you know, nothing else matters, you know, nothing else matters, because then you focus so much on what it is you're doing, then people flock, you know, not, you know, like, people aren't flocking to me, but you know what I mean? Like people come to you because they're
people notice.
like they think they think you have a secret. Like they think like, oh, hey, this guy figured it out. You know, like this guy
Yeah.
knows what it's like. No, like I'm just listening to the voices in my head. You know, I'm listening to like my own intuition. You know, like I'm listening to like my own like those things that you think are maybe silly or whatever. It's like, no, those aren't silly. Those are fucking, like, that's what it is. Like that's good, but you have to be confident in your own path or whatever you're taking, because like that's what you offer to the world, you know. Like it just sucks that a majority of the times, like those thoughts you have in your head that you think are like stupid or whatever, are usually the things that are like cool, because nobody else, maybe you're having those thoughts, you know, like they're just listening to like a hive mind sort of like online social media presence. Right. Whereas like the tiny little things that you're coming up with, maybe that's maybe that's cool, you know, like do it and then succeed in that, and, you know, do it for yourself and then move on to the next thing. And you develop like that over the course of like, you know, many different iterations.
Yeah, and it's so much of it is also about putting the hours in, putting the time in, and it's like if you, I've always, I for some reason I had to do monsters. It was like that was the thing that fed my soul, and I was like, I have to do it this way. I have to do it this way, and the way, I mean, I figured the way I could compensate for that, because monsters are ugly and most people don't like to look at pictures of monsters. It's like a really special type of person. It's a narrow small amount of people, a niche kind of thing. And I figured if I can do the painting really well technically,
oh yeah,
that I could kind of break through to other people that might not necessarily been to monster art. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I really worked hard on getting as good as I can. Plus I had the same mindset as you, which is getting better is the fun part. Working hard and getting better is what makes it so fun. It's frustrating at times, but when you hit something, it's like, it makes it all worth it. It's like, that's the fun. Yeah. That's the game, kind of, you know?
Oh yeah, dude. Like I feel the same exact way with like painting. Like I wouldn't consider my people ugly, but like they're kind of within that ugly kind of like awkward realm. Yeah. But like, yeah, combining like juxtaposing that with like it being like a very nice painterly like class. Like you can't get past like you know, like Rembrandt and like some old masters. Like that is the height of like. My studio is really close to a train, so I don't know if you heard that train.
No, I didn't hear it.
Oh, cool. Okay, then my earpods are, you know, working pretty damn good. But like that's like the height of like the oil painting technology, you know, which was like, you know, 400 or 500 years ago. And like it's like, if you like, I don't think a lot of people understand, unless you actually see like a Rembrandt in real life, like what it is that dude achieved. Because like my goal has always been, and it still is, I'm not there yet, like I don't know when I'm going to be there or if I'm ever going to be there, but my goal is to have that same sort of presence that like a Rembrandt painting has, to where the canvas or the panel, I work on wood panel, but like it's not a flat surface, it's like a window to where the sitter or the person like you can't really tell exactly where that panel is, because his use of like opaque pigments juxtaposed next to transparent pigments with certain texture and certain like surface quality, it makes the painting appear as though it's sitting behind the actual panel, you know. Right. And like you can't see that like when you like look at a picture on or a painting online, you know, like because like you don't have the light interacting with the pigment, you know, because like the difference between like optical blending and physical blending is like different like interpretations like in your brain, you know. So like if you're able to like actually look at like something like light like traveling through paint versus like light bouncing off of paint, it really gives a sensation that something's physically there. And like that's something that's always gotten me genuinely excited about painting, because like like that's like magic. It's like sculpting, but in two
Yeah.
dimensions. So it's like I always like I want to get to that point. I'm always like on that path, and I can't imagine myself like diverting away from that at all. You know, like it's something that I feel like I'm always going to be chasing. You know, like
Yeah.
until I die.
Yeah. Absolutely. Again, I totally relate. Um, yeah, it's just what every artist has the thing that they love that they want to do really well. And for some people it's abstract, for some people it's conceptual. It's like, but we're in that realm of trying to make things look real, real, but still painterly. And I don't know, there's something about a well painted kind of representational, realistic painting that's just kind of amazing. It's like, it's kind of indescribable, and you really do have to see the painting in person to fully appreciate it, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
yeah. The way that I sometimes think about it too is that like I was scared of this initially, like when I first started to think this way back like in college. But I remember this one time, like I forget exactly, I think I was painting like an orange or an apple or something, like I was sitting like in my garage, like when I was doing homework or something from Cal State Fullerton. And it was just like this sort of thing that somewhat clicked in my brain to where like I was able to interpret what it is that I was painting as an actual like real object. So I wasn't really painting. I was kind of uncovering something, so it was oh,
yeah.
I can't really make a mistake because what it is that I'm looking at, like that perception, like I know it's not real, but it's like there's part of my brain that actually thinks it's real. So it's
Right.
almost like I'm dusting off, like I'm like this is like a excavation site or something, and like there's
Yeah.
like bones under this dirt, and I'm like sweeping it away, and like this form is like coming out, and it's like there's no way that this can be incorrect because the lighting is right here and the shadow should be over here, and like this is how the form is or whatever. And then like it allows my brain to kind of like work somewhat automatically because like I'm not really, obviously I'm in control of it, but it feels more like you're just allowing yourself to let this manifest in front of you. And like that feeling, like the owl, you can't, how can you can't, like that's the feeling right there, like it's so freaking amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. It really is magic, literally. Um, so when did you start doing these awkward portraits? Because I feel like this is the point when you started selling, right? It was, I mean, you just said that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
It's like because it's so funny. It's just, I'm just finding so many parallels between both of our journeys. Because it's like, for the first 5 years or so, I was kind of trying all of my stuff was monster themed, but I was doing like close-ups of like, a three-eyed guy or something really close. And then I would do stuff that was a little more abstract but still kind of representational, all of it monstery. And I even sold a couple pieces, but I wasn't selling it really at all, and then, and it wasn't until I did those first portraits, I did one or two for Cannibal Flower, and they sold right away. And it was these head and shoulder monster portraits that had these kind of goofy expressions, or just kind of funny, weird expressions. And then I was like, okay, that's the direction I need to go. People like it, and I enjoyed painting them. This, out of all the things I was doing, this is the one that people like, so I'm going to follow that thing. And that just that's everything developed from that. And so it seems like kind of the same thing happened for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Same exact idea, to where it's like I think before I was doing this, I was more so interested in like I was doing these paintings before that. I still like the idea of them, but it was more so like like when I was in college, I listened to a lot of like Alan Watts and like
Oh,
Joseph
really?
Campbell.
I'm a huge Alan
dude,
Watts, huge Alan Watts fan.
Oh,
I
dude,
grew up on
that
that
was like my
stuff.
favorite. Yeah, that was my favorite thing in college, where it's like I'm painting late night and I'm in the garage and like I'm listening to like Alan Watts lectures, and it's just like that, like like that with like Joseph Campbell was like the turning
same
point
here.
where like I started to realize like, oh hey, like this could be a thing that I'm doing because like it's like feeling right, so like a lot of like the paintings that I was doing like when I was in college, like I consider them like stoner sort of paintings, but it was
Uh-huh.
basically like trying to like interpret like, like the messages that Alan Watts and, Joseph Campbell's was like trying to like transmit. And I enjoyed the idea of that. And I can totally see myself getting more back into that a little bit more, but like I then started to, think more technically about the painting. And then that's what kind of drove me to like portraiture. And then kind of like, I'm a goofy, weird, awkward dude myself, so then I started to like install that into my paintings as well. So like it's like I'm now trying to like figure out technically what it is that I want to do, and I'm trying to perfect these sort of like awkward type of like moments that maybe these kids that you knew when you were younger, and like
Mm.
the funny thing too is that I'm also a teacher, like I teach full time
Oh, really?
as I'm doing this. So like yeah, so it's like I kind of enjoy the idea of like awkward school photos because like I'm a teacher as well. So like it kind of like goes well with what I'm doing.
What
And
do you
like
teach?
I just realized I teach art.
At where?
I, I teach I teach art at a continuation school in San Dimas.
Oh, cool. It's like, and that's a full-time job?
Yeah. I've been teaching there for, oh shoot, 8 years, 9 years.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
super chill job. Like I very much enjoy it. And I've been teaching for a while. And like I try very much to like balance painting, with teaching. And like it's just nice to like I sometimes imagine like what it would be like if I didn't have that teaching job. Like I don't know how my painting stuff
It's fucking
possibly
hard.
would change. Oh, dude, yeah.
It's
I
hard, man, every
respect
month.
I respect people. Yeah, like I respect people that are doing that full time, and I feel like I've found like a really nice balance with
Yeah.
like the type of teaching that I have, like where I have like an income on like not even on the side, like that's my main income, but it allows me then to like have enough free time and also like reduced stress to be able to kind of
Yeah.
explore
Yeah.
painting
Yeah.
what it is that like I just think is cool, and then like I don't want to think about like obviously like these paintings that I have up at Thinkspace right now, like it'd be cool if they sold or and like I make money off of it or whatever, but then also like my life isn't depending on them
Yeah.
selling, so it kind of helps reduce the anxiety that comes along with the choices that I make, which seems like it would be very difficult to make that if like my rent,
Yeah.
my mortgage, or my groceries or whatever is dependent on like my own creative outlet. Like that seems like a difficult
It
situation.
is. It's a pain in the ass. If you hear the episode from today that dropped this morning, it's me and Gabe Leonard bitching about how hard it is to be full time. So I really appreciate people that have it's funny because when I first started, I was like, because I was in makeup effects in the film industry for like 20 years. I did that and it was a good job, paid well. It's fun, making monster sculptures and stuff. I was a sculptor mainly. And, but I got to that point, I started showing and I made the decision I was going to try and get out and be a fine artist. I got to that point where my stuff started selling and then it was just like, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. It's like I see a little taste of this thing. If I was smart, I would probably be in such better position right now if I stuck with that job and did it, because I did it for like 7 years. But I was like, I was doing 7 years where I was doing a fine art career, like starting that and painting at night and on weekends while I was working the day job. So I don't know. I'm not saying I shouldn't have done it, but sometimes I see people that have jobs, like steady jobs, and I'm like, oh, that'd be nice. Instead of like, oh my God, I have to sell these paintings or else I'm going to be screwed. But
Yeah, it's so funny when you think about like the grass being greener on the other side, because it's like I like sometimes would envy somebody in
yeah,
your position.
yeah, I
It's like,
know, I know.
they're like 100% on, they're always creative or whatever. But then I also know like the dip, like one of my best friends, I think like Matt Dingler.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know, Matt.
Yeah, like he's a full-time artist. Like he does that, and
Yeah,
like we talk about that a good amount. And like he's usually my sounding board when it comes to stuff like that, where it's like like trying to figure out like, oh, maybe sometime like in the future I would like to quit teaching and then focus fully on art, you know, and then like you get like, you know, his usual response would be like, oh no, you have a good thing going on.
Yeah.
You should probably, you know, keep it or whatever. And it's like, obviously from like a state of, you know, like his own experience. And it's like, I really appreciate that, because like, then it makes me kind of realize, oh, hey, maybe the position I'm in is actually like a somewhat solid position. And then there's not this like glory, you know, unless you get to like a Mark Ryden sort of like position where you're selling paintings for like 150.
Yeah, that's what we're all trying to get to that point, you know.
Yeah. So as long as I have time and like a support system and people in my life that allow me to paint, and like I'm genuinely happy with my schedule and my routine and whatnot, great. You know. But then like I would love to do it more, but then you know, like it's all about balance, you know. Like I'm pretty happy with the balance that I have.
I just was very like, you know, I can't do this job anymore. I can't do it. Like I'd been doing it 20 years. So it was ever since I got out of high school, I was in the film industry. And so the thrill was gone. It was all I dreamed about from 12 years old until I got a job, was being a makeup effects artist and a sculptor in effects. And so it was like, I've done everything. I got to like a position where I was sort of at the top and there was really nowhere else to go, you know, and which is great. I achieved that goal, but I felt like I'm just kind of doing the same old thing every day. And I have this passion over here. And, so I was really adamant about doing it full time. And, now having done it full time for like 20 years, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get the idea of having a steady job. This makes sense. Like when you're sweating, you know, when it happens enough, you're just like, okay, that's actually a really smart way to go as a career path, is to have a regular job and have your art career. And it's totally legit and it's smart. And I totally get it, you know? So, the other thing I wanted to say too, I was so into the Joseph Campbell stuff, is that the whole reason I started painting monsters is because I was like, I want to prove the follow your bliss theory is a real thing. Like if you follow your bliss, it'll work for you. And so I thought, well, my bliss is the stuff like what I used to do as a kid, make monsters. And so I thought, okay, that's totally unlikely. That's kind of impossible to make a career, especially this is like 2000. You know, it's impossible to make no one's selling monster art. But if the follow my bliss Joseph Campbell theory is true, then I will be able to make a living at it. And so I did it, and it proved the theory to me. You know, so I just, you know, I totally dig that you're into Joseph Campbell too. So
oh yeah, dude.
I always tell everybody I proved it. I proved the theory that it works. It's not just a theory because I did it and it worked. But, you know, also be careful what you wish for. Every month, I think that. But no, I'm totally happy too. I you know, I probably wouldn't change anything. I love it. It's just crazy stressful sometimes, but that's gonna happen no matter what you do. There's always gonna be stressors and stuff.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine like I obviously I can't imagine, you know, because like financially speaking, like, you know, like when I make money from art, like it's nice because it's like extra money.
Yeah.
But like I think in terms of like certain amount of happiness that like I have comes from like not, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like painting wise, like if I'm trying to figure something out when I'm painting, like that's going to make me happy. And like the idea of like following your bliss, it kind of goes along with that, to where like you have this thing that's kind of like maybe seemingly impossible or difficult in front of you, but like as long as you're in the process of like hacking away at that and like untying those knots that are in front of you, like you're gonna be happy. You might not financially be set, but like you're gonna be happy. And like if you're happy and like you're mentally, like you're present, you know, like in the current moment, like you're going to be more capable of making better decisions about, you know, like how the future state's going to be. So like your art's going to be that much better, you know, if you're
Mm-hmm.
following your bliss and you're like trying to figure out these things that, you know, like you genuinely want to do, instead of just like falling in line with the rest of society and like, you know, then just trying to make like a living and like ideally making something on the side. You know, like I feel like I'm getting lucky where I'm kind of trying to find this like like this balance of like, oh, maybe I could make it, maybe I couldn't. So like, I don't know,
Right.
like I don't know what I'm trying to say right now, but like I get totally what you're saying,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
following.
So okay. Uh I want to get into a little bit of
Oh
technical
yeah, my
stuff about
favorite.
your art. Yeah, we love to talk about technical shop talk on here. Um yeah, that's the other one. You know, I was really drawn to your work because of the characters and that it was so well painted. Um, but I also was like, I bet you he's doing, you know, a grisaille painting, which is, for people who don't know, it's like, you know, black and white underpainting, or usually a earth color underpainting, and then you do just the values, which values are light and dark parts of the painting. You do that in black and white paint, so you don't have to think about color, and then you do transparent glazes, washes over it. Most people who are listening to this know this, but some people might not. But
Yeah, yeah.
um, that is, I saw your stuff and I was like, I bet you he's doing that technique. I could just like, I could see it because I've done that. Like, I don't really paint that way now, but I kind of do still. But I went through a period where that was, just like you said, that made the most sense to me. But I read about it in this book, How to Paint Like the Old Masters.
Oh yeah, I've read the same book.
That book's amazing. And I was like, okay, this makes sense where you're separating. It seemed impossible to get the value right and the color right at the same time. It seems way too complicated, but that's, I'm at that point where I'm doing that now. But it's like, it's still not, I'm not doing the really punchy colors. Everything is still kind of like, it's not black and white, but it's more faded. It's not like I'm just hinting at colors and then I kind of glaze and build up the colors. So it's essentially kind of a grisaille, sort of, kind of doing it in just focusing on values. But that's been that's kind of been my path or whatever. It's like I totally, like you're saying, I understand. It made me. It's makes so much more sense, and people, and I'm sure you know this from teaching, because I teach on my Patreon too, and it's like when I explain that technique, it makes it so much easier to understand. You know, separate value from color, keep them separate, and you could think about them separately. You could do one first, deal with the values. If the values are right, you can put any color on pretty much, and it's going to look good. And then you could start thinking about color. So I just love that way of painting. I love that technique. I love the way it looks. So it's awesome that you do it. I think I love it.
Oh, oh yeah, I think so much of it too comes down to like it's so much easier, you
I
know,
know, simpler.
oh my God, so much easier. And then also combined with the end result being, at least in my opinion, so much better, you know,
Yeah,
like it's easier to achieve
especially
really,
in
really good
person
results.
when you
Oh
see
my
it in
God,
person.
like there's zero, like it's so like it sucks so much that like I'll share a painting on my Instagram or whatever, and like 99% of people will only see the
I
painting
know.
like the scan, but then like I'm hoping that 1%, that one person that sees it in real life has that experience that I had when I painted it, where they're like, you know, oh wow, like I want this in on my wall, so I'm going to buy this or whatever. So like I'm painting for that 1% that's actually going to go to the gallery and see it, because like I am such a nerd when it comes to like the physical like manipulation of like pigment and like how it reflects in the light, and
Hmm.
like, you know, like the opaque pigments versus the transparent pigments, and
Yeah.
again like what we were talking about earlier, like trying to achieve that like Rembrandt sense of presence with a painting to where it feels like it's legitimately three-dimensional, but you can only experience that in real life. And the reason is because like your brain interprets like optical, like the idea of optical color mixing, where it's like, you know, like colors that are mixed separately in reality, you know, that then your brain mixes, versus physical color mixing where your eyeballs are mixing that, you know, like in the highlights of paint, like I'll do it like physical color mixing where it's like lead white and it's like really super thick and you can actually like feel it, and then it's juxtaposed next to like optical color mixing where it's maybe 3 or 4 layers that are super super thin, that I kind of use like a razor blade to like make sure that it's so fine there's zero texture, and your brain interprets that in a way that's so, it's almost like I had a really cool painting instructor. His name was Joe Forkin when I was in like House of Fortin, and we did plein air painting, which is like on location painting, you know, going to the beach and painting scenery or whatever. I sucked in that class. Like I was horrible in that class, but he explained it really well, where he was like talking about the idea of like looking through the sky, like when you look through the atmosphere, you know, like what is it that you're looking at when you're looking through the atmosphere is like, you know, like millions upon millions of layers of different color that like you can't pinpoint a specific color, so it screws with your eyeballs to make it almost feel like there's like these like dancing sort of like colors like in the atmosphere, because it's just this culmination of millions and millions of layers, and that screws with your eyes, so you kind of automatically identify that as like depth, you know, like that's far away, you know, but like when you put that directly next to like another paint that's like physically it comes off of the canvas to where it like feels like it's like this like mountain that's like built out of this ocean of like layers, you really genuinely think that it's like physically there, but like you cannot get that sensation if you're looking at it like on your phone, you know, but you go to the gallery and you see it in person, and then it's like a totally different experience because like you're seeing that physical interaction, and that gets me like really like interested. Like I'm so like I love the idea of that, because I don't know when like machines are going to be able to do that, you know. Hopefully not within like our lifetime, because that's a pretty human thing, you know, like that's a pretty cool like thing that we have the ability to do, that like AI maybe hopefully, you know, like not soon, you know, but like that's one thing that like me and Matt Dangler, like we share that a whole hell of a lot. Like that's one of the primary, like we don't talk about it as much anymore, but like I remember meeting that dude, like messaging him on MySpace back in like 2008 or 2009 or something, and we've been talking pretty much every day since. And for sure, like one of my best like friends, like overall, but definitely like my number one art friend, but like overall, like just he's like one of like the best dudes in my life. And like we have talked at depth about like technique and just the grisaille, the old masters and everything. He's pretty much a sounding board. And like he talks to me about it, like when we have new like understandings of like, oh, but what about when you do this? What about when you do this? Blah, 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 you know? And like it's so nice to like be able to talk about that sort of stuff with somebody who actually like understands what I'm saying. Because sometimes I'll bring it up to my students, and I love my students, but like it's so hard to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't like think about this 24/7. So I think about this all like every day, you know, like all the time.
Yeah, the really great artists I know, all the best ones are the nerds that just like love it and think about it all the time and are just constantly obsessed. You know, I think it's what it takes to be really good. So you have to have that kind of obsession, you know.
Yeah, you have to let your like your subconscious into the equations sometimes, you know. Like, and like I'll just like one of my favorite things about painting is, one of my favorite things is like just sitting there and just staring at it, you know, and like just kind of like letting my subconscious kind of like interpret it and kind of like, you know, crawl over it and like enjoy it. And it's like, wow, like maybe I'm never going to see this again, maybe I will or whatever, but like it's just so nice to like allow myself to interpret it subconsciously sometimes, because like that's like what I'm kind of aiming for. When somebody looks at it, they should hopefully be like drawn back a little bit and like feel kind of a little weird or funny, because, you know, it's like a weird looking thing, but it's painted really beautiful, hopefully beautifully, you know. And then, you know, I just, it's just so pleasurable to just sit back and just kind of like not think about it and just allow myself to interpret it,
Right.
you know, as subconscious as possible.
Yeah, it's also hard to get that moment where where you separate yourself from the process enough to see it as it actually is. Because I always think it's so interesting that artists are the only people that will never see their work the way everybody else does, because everybody else has seen it when it's done. And then we've seen it from sketch and building up layers. So we just have kind of we can't see it the same way.
Oh, definitely, man. Like the way, like, it's interesting because I'm a teacher, and like I love being a teacher. Not primarily, but like really because like it allows me to understand myself more by teaching other people. So it's like I'll have different students, and I have to kind of like change my language in a way that would benefit them the most. So it's like me screwing with the way that I would normally say things, but it's like, oh, this person will understand it this way, so I'm going to say it this way, whatever, you know. So like a lot of times when I think about painting, like myself, like I'll look at it like almost like look at myself from like a third person point of view, and then like talk to myself, you know, like I'm my own teacher sort of, you know.
Yeah,
but like
right.
like to reiterate what you're saying, like the idea of like I'll tell my students this a lot, like like maybe they're working on something and they're not proud of it, but like I can look at it and I can say, dude, you know, like that's looking really good. You just can't see it primarily
Right.
because like you're wired in a way to be hyper fixated on the negatives because you want to clear up those negatives,
Right.
because that's what it means to have a good looking piece of art, is that you fixed all those problems, you know. But
Right.
like imagine if you took this away, I gave it to another student, and then that student said, oh, look what I did, you know. Then from your perspective, you're going to look at it from the total opposite end, to where you're looking at it not from the negatives, but you're looking at it from the positives, and you're looking at it from like, oh my God, that looks amazing, you know, like how'd you do that, you know, because you're not seeing those tiny little like details that are like what you consider bad, because you haven't been staring at it for like 10 hours, you know.
Right.
But like you have to like take yourself out of that, and
Yeah.
like it's so difficult because you can't teach somebody that. It has to be
Yeah.
that like understanding of that you're always going to feel that way, so you have to just kind of like work through it and have faith that it's going to be good, because you can't look at it from somebody else's perspective,
Right.
and it sucks, but
Well,
just take this into consideration, you know.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons we look at it in a mirror or turn it upside down. Those are ways of kind of bypassing that prejudice we have towards it, or that, you know, because we're so used to seeing it a certain way. But that's one of the things I love about doing the mentorship program I have on my Patreon, is like, it's fun to look at a student's work and see it fresh and be able to like go, oh, okay, I see what the problem is. It's this, and it makes you like appear like you're some great master, but it's really because you know, we have a base level of knowledge after having done it for so long, that, you know, you need this kind of base level of knowledge. But the thing we also have that's so important is the objectivity that the person painting. Because it's like, even we've been doing this for so long, it's hard. I mean, I'm sure for you as well, it's hard to get past that, because sometimes it's like you're not sure, there's something that's not quite right. It seems like at least one piece in every show I do, there's always one that's like something is not quite right. It's usually the one I haven't worked out enough in the beginning, because I do studies, and I do digital studies sometimes, and really make sure it's going to be great when I go to paint it. And you know, I'm thinking of this one painting, it's just like it just was not clicking. There was something missing, and it was just so hard to see it any differently, you know what I mean? And but that's also when it's helpful to have artist friends too, because you can like share your work
Oh
with
yeah,
them and
dude.
get
Yeah.
feedback.
Like you wouldn't imagine the amount of paintings that like I would send Matt, you know, and like you know, he's like, I'll just, you know, like, oh, something's feeling off. Like the greatest thing, like he does it with me too, but like, I feel I do it with him more. So, it's like I'll have this idea in my head of like one area that kind of bothers me, and I won't tell him which area it is. So then if he comes back to me and like we both, like he says the same thing as me that I already had in my head, then it's like, oh shoot, like I need to fix that.
That's it.
But if he doesn't catch that, then it's like, dude, like I trust that guy's eyeballs.
Yeah.
You know, so like if it doesn't catch it, then it's like, oh, not a big deal, because this guy who's very like he scrutinizes the hell out of my work in the most positive way. And that's what I love about the dude, you know, then it doesn't bother me, you know, and that's, it's like, oh, not a big deal. He didn't notice it, not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know? So like I think having people in your life like that, where you can kind of like have that objective, you know, like you get out of your own skin, because you got to realize you've been staring at it for, you know, 15, 20, 30 hours or whatever, you know, get a fresh pair of eyeballs on it, you know, like, then see what somebody else has. And it's not like you have to like, you know, like, you don't trust what somebody else said, but it's like, it's nice to have access to a fresh pair of eyeballs. You know? That's as morbid as that sounds.
It's absolutely true. Okay. So you paint on wood panels, and, what's your process for, what's your whole kind of from the beginning to the end, and what mediums and kinds of paints and all that stuff?
I paint primarily like I used to paint on canvas, and like I like the idea of like building the gesso up and making it super smooth and whatever. But then I realized, like, why am I doing this? Like I can just paint on wood panels. Like I've been painting on wood panel ever since I knew that was a thing, specifically on gesso board by Ampersand. I love gesso board. It's so nice. Like
I painted many paintings on that.
Yeah, it's so nice because it's pretty smooth, but it still has like this finest amount of texture on it, like super small texture, which you can still sand out. But like that, oh, I love gesso board. I'm gonna paint on that until I can't paint it. Yeah,
so,
like I found it.
I talk about this all the time. But have you tried the aluminum composite material, the ACM panels yet? You got to try.
I've been wanting to. I bought copper recently, and I wanted to try to mess around with copper. I would assume it would be the same idea, right?
I don't know if the copper's, it's maybe the same idea in essence, but the aluminum composite material is 2 sheets of aluminum, and it's got like a plastic, it's sandwich plastic in between. It's like it's like street sign stuff, or freeway signs kind of are made out of it. So it's like lighter weight than if it was solid, you know, 16th inch or 8th inch or whatever it is material. But it's just super strong. And the thing I never liked about, or 2 things I didn't like about the panels, is that I'm clumsy, and I can't tell you how many times I've dropped them on the corners, and those things are such a bitch to try and fix. Like I've done it where I take epoxy putty and like, or gesso and sand it. Oh, and the other thing is, you know, sometimes I like to put my paintings out in the sun to dry, to speed up the drying, because I use liquid, and for the most part, and or if in a pinch, put paint in front of a heater, and those ampersand panel, or the ACM panels, they can take a lot of heat without warping.
Oh wow!
Because I've warped so many when I was first doing my early days. I remember just totally fucking some paintings up that, you know, are like, because I left them out in the sun too long. But the cool thing is, so that's why I would recommend it. Otherwise, it's the same smooth surface, and you kind of, you know, unless you get them pre-gessoed, which you can get them made, but I just get this. It's so cheap. It's like 4x8 panel. I found a place that delivers online. 4x8 panels for $100. It just will last you forever, and it's easy to cut. Oh, yeah. Cut it with a razor blade, and like you score it and kind of snap it. It's really awesome stuff. So I would, and it will never be affected by moisture or whatever, you know?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I remember painting on some canvases back when I was in college, like, you know, like early 2000s, that like maybe I just didn't know how to layer paint correctly, but or if it was like the canvas swaying back and forth, but I noticed like cracks in
Oh
some of
yeah.
them, you know. But
Hmm.
at the same time too, like I was painting on a panel and like there's no cracks at all, you know. So like I've gotten smarter with like, you know, like
Yeah,
the fat
yeah,
over lean rule and you
yeah.
know, like whatever since then. So like it just kind of scares me that like, oh, if I were to paint on canvas, you know, what if, you know, 5 or 10 years from now, like somebody actually buys this and then they come back to me and say, oh, hey, guess what? You know, I spent however much money on this, yet now there's cracks. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like I just never want to be in that
The
position. So I want to be
serious concern.
as serious as possible with
I
that.
saw there's a big Robert Williams painting I saw from like 69 or something from the late 60s, and it had cracks all through it. It was on a canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't ever want to get in that position. But that, you know, at that point it's, you know, I don't know how many years that was. But okay, anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I have to recommend ACM panel for you to try at least one
Okay.
time. But
I I I will try.
so wood panels, gesso board, I agree. That was my favorite wood panel to paint on also. I recommend it as well. So are you doing extra gesso and sanding, or are you just kind of living with the one they give
Mm,
you? And
so sometimes I'll sand it, but like a lot of times I'll just like do it like straight up because
mhm,
like they like maybe I'll just sand it just really quick, but like I
right.
like everything straight out. Like it's so much easier and quicker.
I know.
Um, Yeah, yeah. Like I remember like going to school with this guy like when I was like an undergrad. And he was a graduate, and he was very in the graduate program, and he was very much like about like Renaissance art, similar to like what I was doing. But like he was all about like preparing the canvas in the
Yeah, all
same
that
way that
rabbit skin
like they
glue and
did.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, dude, like I get it, but like the end result should just be like how badass the image should be. I don't care if somebody made it for me or not. It's like if that's going
Yeah,
to help me, whatever, you know. But
yeah.
so yeah, so I'll start with the wood panel, and I like the idea of putting a ground on there first. So like a lot of it is like I used to use more of like a brighter like I'll still use like a brighter like earth red, you know, like I like gambling, so gambling transparent earth red, or like I've been using like Van Dyke brown or raw umber. Like it's all the same idea where you're just trying to put like a neutral, warmer tone over the canvas because like the idea of start like for me at least like the idea of starting with a white canvas is so difficult because like
Mhm.
everything's going to have color in the end, so it's like why not start off with like something that's kind of like halfway
Yeah, it's
there, you
weird.
know,
It's
like
weird that you're looking at something that's the brightest value all over the thing. It just doesn't kind of doesn't make
yeah
sense. It makes sense
it's it,
to do a
it,
mid tone ground, you
yeah
know.
it's like staring directly into the sun, you know. I
Yeah.
don't want to look at something that bright, you know. You give me something that has like some flavor,
Yeah, you
just a
need some
starting
point
point,
of
whatever it
reference,
is.
you know. You need some point of
That's it.
reference.
Yeah. And I took so long with like trying to figure out like what that perfect like thing was, you know. I'm like, oh my God, I spent way too long, you know, like trying to figure out like, you know, looking at like these different paintings of like, oh, what kind of ground do they use? What kind of ground do they use? What kind
Right.
of ground, you know, like what color, you know. But then I realized like in the end, it doesn't like it maybe it matters to an extent with like the warmth that's going to like shine through, but
Depends how
like
thick you're
like
painting too, you know.
yeah, exactly. Like whatever it is that you put down, it has to do with like your response to that, you know? So like
Right.
you put something down and like you're going to respond in a different way. So like you can't really take that into consideration until you actually put the ground down and then you respond to it. You know, like it's so it's
Right.
like this like back and forth that you have to do. So like I like the idea like I used to enjoy like when I was in college, like I like the idea of like I think what you do where you put the ground down and like you actually use solvent and you kind of like wipe it out and like you kind
Yeah.
of like develop it. Like I've tried to do that, but I've never had success because the idea of introducing solvent to the ground, it always kind of like made it difficult for me to control.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I just was like, screw it. I'm just going to put a ground down. And what I would do next would usually be like I like the idea of like putting like transparent white down on top of it after it's dry to kind of help develop form. You know, I'll put like transparent white just to kind of, oh, where are the lights? And then, you know, maybe like a layer of like where the darks are just to kind of be as economical as possible of like, you know, like, oh, let's do it really quickly where I'm going to like put some like dark browns down and some whites down or whatever, just to kind of develop the form as quickly as possible to kind of do like a pre-grisaille, like a pre-gray layer, just to kind of like map out really, really crudely wherever it's at. Sometimes I'll do a wipeout on top of that. And I love the idea of the wipeout because putting like that same color down, like a transparent earth red or like a raw umber or whatever, putting it down over everything and then using a rag and kind of like wiping it out. But I never again use solvent. It's just like straight up paint as long as I do it really, really thinly. Like it still dries within like 8 hours or 10 hours. So it's like the next day I can put a grisaille on top of it. And then after I have that like established, just like a base, like really crude, like shitty looking, like value somewhat, like I know where things are. Then I love the idea of mixing value strings. So like I'll mix like on my palette, like like maybe like 5 or 6 or 7 different steps from like dark, like white to like dark or whatever, and like then pretty much paint the grisaille. And like I remember like when I first started like screwing out the idea of the grisaille, I would always go way too dark in the darks. And that always screwed up like how dark the shadows would get, because the nature of a glaze is that it's going to decrease the value as you put it on there. So like there's so many paintings that I used to do where like the shadows were way too dark, and then like I started to get a little smarter about it and realized that you kind of have to create this limitation for yourself. So instead of creating like a full value string, I'll only create maybe like white to like 70%, or 60%.
That's a good idea.
So you kind of create, you create this subjective like dark, but it's like I can't get darker than that, because if I do, then I'm not going to have room to get darker in the glazes. So you limit yourself, and then I create the entire painting. The darkest dark is at 60-70%, and I try to create the grisaille as best as possible with that to leave room for that. And then similar with what you're talking about earlier with like going in with more of like low saturated colors, like I'll do that on top of the grisaille, which would be considered somewhat of like a dead layer. Like a dead layer is like the idea of like it's kind of like one step in the value and one step in the color. So you're kind of creating this bridge from value to color, and like it makes so much more sense to me to like have that grisaille down first, to have the values established, and it's like it has to make sense with that first. Then like I'll just like glaze in with like I use liquid pretty much throughout the entire painting. Like I'll use liquid and just kind of like map out like if it's flesh, map out like the color temperature shifts, like classically like yellow, like red, rosy around the, here, and then like bluish gray for like guys down here, like you map that out. So it's kind of like a really low saturated gray version of what the final color is going to be. And then you just go in glazes, and like I would usually go into it with
I lost your video.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, it sounded like the audio changed a little bit too.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds a little different, like your mic changed, or it doesn't matter really.
Shifted a little bit. Okay, cool.
But I can't see you.
So like the idea. Oh, oh, there goes. Can you see me now?
Can't see you now. Still can't see you.
Oh, I don't. Hold on one second. Let me see why. Osmo.
Oh, there's something. I can see something blurry.
Oh, can you see that?
Yeah, it's a blurry. Looks like a blurry something. I'm gonna write down this so I can know where to edit this.
Okay, let me.
1909.
Okay. I have like another webcam, maybe like my other camera was like screwing up. It's in the same position, so it should be pretty much the same thing.
No problem. I can cut this out. Oh,
okay. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's a different webcam, but it should be the same idea. And the audio is good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the idea of like I would glaze colors on top of that dead layer. And then obviously it's just like multiple layers. And then, you continue to like adjust the saturation until you get to the point to where you're happy with it. But it's nice to have that initial starting point of like, it's a little bit lower saturated than what I need, but it allows you to have this sort of like, like almost like a vantage point that then you say like I'm erring on the side of it being too like gray, but I
Right.
know that I'm able to add saturation, and along with the adding saturation, it adds like this like jewel sort of coat to
Yeah,
the
I
painting that
know.
that optically makes it
It
more
looks so
engaging and
nice.
attractive. Yeah,
I love it.
and like it like it would be different. Like it wouldn't be the same if you like did it, you accidentally did it too saturated and then you like put gray on top of it. That
Yeah,
would
that's
that that wouldn't look beautiful at
no,
all, because it's
no.
not like, yeah, yeah. So it's like, no, I want to make it look more beautiful. So like I'm going to purposefully make it more gray than what I need. So it gives me room to
Right.
advance with the saturation. And as long as I have that optical color blink or mixing compare, or, next to like the more thicker stuff, then you get this like juxtaposition of like how your brain interprets it. And then your brain starts to think that this maybe is a real thing, and like you kind of like forget that it's like a painting that you're looking at or whatever, and like like that small little trick of the brain, like is what is attractive in my opinion about, like that type of art.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you how are you transfer? Do you have a sketch? How are you starting this and
Oh,
designing the painting?
yeah,
And
yeah. Well, so much of it is like I've been like saving like images on my computer for like so freaking long. Like I love like the idea of like I have so many like awkward school photos from
and
like
it's such
like Tumblr.
it's such a great idea.
Yeah, like
I can't believe someone hasn't done it yet. This concept, you're
yeah, well, like
it's such a good idea. It's one of
yeah,
those like it's so obvious someone should have done it, but it's those are all like the best ideas are like that. The ones that you go, oh, why didn't I think of this?
yeah.
It's so simple and perfect. It's such a
Yeah. So
great
so many
idea.
so many people like I've seen like, but like they do it a lot less like fine art wise. A lot of it's like kind of like sketching, like caricature sort of stuff,
Right.
and like I'm trying to like that like like oh
But
like it says my mic changed.
yeah,
Is that
it changed a little bit, but it's fine.
okay?
Now you're back to where you were before.
Okay, cool. But like I like the idea of like blending the fine art
Oh
aspect
yeah.
with that sort of like it's kind of caricature, but it's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like
It's
like
perfect.
it's yeah, it's like a precarious balance where it's
Yeah.
like it's ugly, but like I'm gonna paint it so good that I'm gonna force you to like it, whether
Yeah.
you like it or not. Like
That's
it's
my attitude
like
as
you're
well.
like yeah, like you're in my house,
Yeah.
like so much of like my stuff is like photo collage. Like I'll do a lot of like digital like manipulation with like starting with like a base photo, but then sometimes I feel like I'll play like Mr. Potato Head almost, where it's
Hmm.
like, oh, like I like the eyes of this guy. Like I'm really like I really like Steve Buscemi's type of eyes,
Hmm.
where they're really like really like fatty and like wrinkles, and
Yeah.
and I'll put that like in Photoshop to kind of like allow myself to have this reference to kind of like look from, or to look at. So then when I'm actually like drawing it, like I'll draw from that reference, and then I'll still manipulate it some, and then from that reference, it still is pulling like the features and whatever, but it allows me some freedom to kind of like adjust it based on what I think looks interesting. But then I still have like this reference that has like the lighting that I need.
Hmm.
A lot of the times, like the skin tone, like I'll make up myself just based on the fact that like I've been doing skin tone for a while and I kind of understand skin tone.
Yeah.
But if it was, like it's nice to still have like, like, oh, like around the eyes, it's a little bit more purple or it's a little bit more green or whatever. So you can still like pull that, but I still like the idea of like applying my own way of thinking about skin tone, because it's like the classical way, like the classical realism way of doing it is like having those like bands of
Yeah.
colors, and
Yeah.
like I still want to make it read sort of like that, but I still want to make it read like the reference. So it's like you're trying to find this like balance of like these multiple references that you put together to kind of complete the end result, so like 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 the idea of having like this like finished digital reference, like I'm trying to get better at like being comfortable with like pushing that further, because the more further I push that, it makes it easier when I'm painting, because like ideally when I'm painting, I don't want to like solve problems like of like form or like anatomy or like those sort of things that ideally should be figured out like in the reference. And if I do that in the reference, maybe it's like a little bit more boring because like I want to get to the painting, but I know like from personal experience that like the times that like I didn't figure it out like in the preliminary stages, I kind of suffer because it's like it's easier to figure stuff out like in a drawing or you know
Right.
like digitally because it's like there's like a like a control Z, you can undo shit like
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
simply, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, whereas you put paint down and it's like, oh, like I layered that down, guess what, I can't go back over that. So if the form's not correct, then I'm kind of screwed, and I can't correct form when I'm in the color layer because
Yeah.
that's just that doesn't make sense, you know.
No.
Like you have to, it's like this like these layers that you have to
Yeah.
work with.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's so much of it is like photo manipulation that then like I'll still like on my iPad like I'll like paint into and try to have somewhat of like a finished digital sort of
Hmm.
like rendition of it that then I can, you know, print out or like have my iPad and I'm kind of
Hmm.
like painting to kind of like not copy it exactly, but to at least use it as a setup that then I'm trying to push myself further by adding all of these details and all the little things that like
Right.
are not in that reference. So it's like still makes it my own, but like I still have like I guess like confidence in the fact that this thing exists already, like on a small, almost like the idea of like doing like a smaller scale oil painting study, you know.
Right.
But like it's so much, it's quicker sometimes to do like, you know, like a digital study because it's digital, so it's like it's quick, but the end result is nothing compared to like, you know, doing the
Yeah.
actual oil
Right.
painting.
Yeah. I usually end up doing basically a digital mock up, and I don't know. Every show, every time I do a show, I sort of change up my technique a little bit just to try and keep things interesting. But lately, I've been doing Photoshop mock-ups. Then I'll do a small oil study just to kind of figure out the colors I'm going to be mixing, and I'll have a piece I could sell because studies,
Oh yeah,
they're cheaper. They're more affordable for people who want to collect originals, and it's another way to make a little bit of money. So I'll do the oil study, and then I feel really ready for the big one. You know what I mean?
definitely.
So do you do I've been using in the last couple of years, I've been using a projector and then like
Yeah.
tracing it in India ink. But sometimes I'll just go, since I'm not, you know, I usually don't have to get a likeness, so it's not as much of an issue. It depends on the type. The paintings with the skulls and the flowers, I've been like totally using the projector, and because those kinds of paintings are super tight and really realistic. But when I'm doing my monster stuff, it's like sometimes I'll just kind of eyeball it and paint it, sketch it in on the painting. But how do you transfer your design? Are you
Well,
just kind of eyeballing it,
well,
or?
no, I'll
Oh,
print it out
wait,
like if
wait
I
a minute.
have.
Sorry, my headphones fell out. Sorry. Okay, so go ahead.
I'll print it out. Like I have a Giclée, or I don't know if you consider it a Giclée printer, but I have like a wide format printer, Epson SCP 900. So
Oh,
like it's like
okay.
it's a wide format printer, and like I use that to like make prints.
How wide
So
does it
like
go?
17 by 22. That's like
Okay.
the max size.
Yeah, that's what
So
mine does that too.
yeah, and I love the printer. So like I used to
Yeah,
use
it's
a
amazing.
projector, and I like the idea of the projector, but then it's so much easier for me to like just print something out the same size. If I have like the composition correct in Photoshop, it's like
Hmm.
the same resolution as, you know, like the same dimensions or whatever. That I just print it out with like a carbon copy paper, you know, or graphite transfer paper or whatever, and then
Oh,
just transfer it over.
you
You know, like it just makes it
you could print
easy.
on the carbon paper.
Oh no! I'll just print on like really just like regular printer paper, like
Okay,
sheet
so
paper, and then
printer, and then put carbon paper. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, I've done that.
exactly.
Yeah, okay,
And then you use fixative, and then, you know, like I'll usually put like matte medium over it or something to give myself
right.
a nicer surface. And then yeah, it's like I again used to use the projector, but like it's just I don't have to deal with any. It's just a quick button, press it. It's the same size. It's just like really quick. And if I don't need to finish it in one night or whatever, like maybe I can come back to it. It's just yeah,
Yeah.
very simple, very simple.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. What about? Are you a paint snob as far as brands?
Oh man. Well,
Paint brand snob?
I used to work at Art Supply Warehouse. Have you ever been there in Westminster, Huntington Beach
No,
area?
no.
It's like the biggest art supply store in Orange County.
Oh,
I live in Santa Ana, but like it's maybe like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes away from my place. When I was in high school, or not in high school, when I was in college, I worked there for 4 or 5 years, and like I learned so much more there about like materials
Oh
and
yeah.
like, like because like you had to be in a position to like, sell stuff to people. And so you wanted to look like you knew something. So I studied a whole hell of a lot. So I wouldn't consider myself like a paint snob, but like I do have expensive paint. The primary paints that I use, Gamblin, Winsor Newton, Holbein, Williamsburg, and Old Holland.
Uh-huh.
And that's just because, like they're extremely pigmented. They're
Yeah.
pretty damn expensive, but like I can justify it because, like you're putting your whole self into something.
Yeah, I
Like
don't. That's
why,
not where.
why?
Yeah, that's not where you should try and save
Yeah,
money. Is on the
yeah,
main thing you're working with. That's how I always kind of feel about it.
yeah. Yeah, dude, it's like, yeah, I don't like the idea of using student grade paint. Like, I get the idea of student grade paint for, learning and whatever,
Hmm.
but like, just knowing like why is this more expensive is because there's more color
Yeah,
in it.
yeah,
Like that's why it's more expensive, and there's less shit in it. Like the idea
yeah.
of student grade paint is that there's color, but there's also filler. And so
Right.
like it sucks. Like the way that I to like approach it with like my students, sometimes we use cheap materials in the art class because it's like a public school art classroom, is that like maybe they're having like a difficulty with like we're using watercolor or something, and it's like like one of those cheap pans that cost like 99 cents or
Right.
whatever. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like you try to explain to them like it's not like please don't be like upset with the fact that this isn't coming out exactly how you want, because like maybe the person you're looking at like on TikTok or something that you're trying to like replicate their technique, they're using like a paint that probably costs like $20 or $30. You're
Right.
using something that cost that cost $1,
Yeah.
so it's not on you, it's the material. Like
Yeah.
so then the cool thing is I'll sometimes bring in like professional grade materials, just to kind of show like select students
Mm.
like, oh hey, you're using this, but like this is what I use at home, like why
Yeah.
don't you try this out a little bit, and like I can't afford to like give that to everybody, but sometimes it's nice to expose somebody that's like just starting out to like what the ultimate is in terms of like what the like tools are that they could potentially use, because that
Yeah.
shouldn't be a factor in you learning or not, because I don't mind spending money on paint, like very much. Like I'll buy the best paint, but it's like I wouldn't consider myself a
Yeah, I
snob,
know. I
but
was
like,
just kind of half joking with the paint stuff,
yeah,
but you know what I mean.
yeah.
It's like my dad was a painter. He was a painter, and he didn't give a shit at all. He would use student grade. He didn't care. And especially like when he was older and kind of, well, he never really retired. He painted until he died, but just they didn't have a lot of money coming in. He would just buy the cheap stuff. He didn't even bother him. But I know other people, they're like super strict about traditional techniques, but I totally I I don't use the student grade stuff, but I'm also not super snobby, like, but I have been using the natural pigments,
Oh yeah,
those
yeah,
Rublev paints, and then there's
yeah,
the Vasari also. It's like the Rublev stuff's like super traditional. Like they make the formulas. It's kind of overkill in a way. Like they make
yeah.
it to the exactly the way they used to make them. No extras, anything, no binders or anything. And then I think the Vasari is kind of like just more high quality paint. But the Rublev stuff, it's like they only make paints and colors that they used to do back in the day, whereas Vasari will like make some of their own mixtures. But that brings me to something I wanted to ask you about also. Have you ever tried Vasari raw umber?
No.
You probably haven't, because I have never heard anybody talk about this raw umber, and it's different. I tried all these browns. I've never been able to find another raw umber like it at all. It's like a more of a neutral raw umber. It's like less yellowy. It's so great for underpaintings. It's amazing. If you just use raw umber and white, it's great. You should really try it if you get a chance. It's so I just found it like it's kind of like the perfect. It works like a black when you do grisaille underpaintings. Just raw umber and white. It's so nice. and it's super.
I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, currently what I'm using is like I used to use like for underpaintings I used to use a combination, especially for flesh, which I still love, is a combination of Terra Verte mixed with burnt sienna. You know, where you get this like really nice creamy sort of color that's like slightly, you know, towards green, but it allows you to set yourself up for like really nice like warmer tones on top. You know, and I love that. But then I ended up watching this Rembrandt painting course a couple years ago from this artist Ben Valentine. Have you heard of him?
No, I'll have to write that down.
He does these like online painting courses, and I spent, you know, I think it was like $100 or whatever, just because like I genuinely liked the way that he painted, and it changed the way that I approached painting, because like he was a lot more simple with the underpainting. He just used Van Dyke brown and flake white, but I use flake white replacement from Gamblin just for like the base coat. But then I'll use regular like flake white when I want to put texture on top of it after that's been established. And then I've been doing that since, and I genuinely like Van Dyke brown because it kind of comes with what you're saying with like the raw umber, to where it still reads like a black and white, but it still has this sort of like, it's almost like a little flavor, like it's a flavored black and white that's like, you know, like it's still monochromatic, but like it's like still like a little step into the color that's a little bit more like setting yourself up for color. And I just been using that since, and I genuinely like it. So it's hard to imagine something that's different than Vatican, but for sure I'll check out that the Versari raw umber.
It's funny because I thought, well, maybe it was so different. I was like, well, maybe this is, and I never used Van Dyke brown, so I was like, maybe this is Van Dyke brown. And I've got some Van Dyke brown. It's like, nope. It's like I kept trying to find that color, and I was even looking like the color, the code up on it, and it's like I couldn't find. There's nothing like it. It's just it's really nice. So anyway, I didn't want to forget to tell you that, because I think it's I swear by it. But okay. So last question. How about varnish? Are you a Gamvar guy?
I use definitely.
Gamvar's the best, isn't it?
Oh, dude, like it's difficult. Like I used to use what was that, like more traditional one, the Damar varnish. I've used that multiple times, and like I just never had luck with it. Whereas with the Gamvar now, like I'll usually use like one coat, maybe two coats, and like it's pretty perfect. You know, like it's like it's able to be used a lot quicker than traditional varnishes, and it's cool that that's removable as well. And I've never had an issue with it. And usually it gives me like a really nice consistent sheen without like much fuss at all.
Yeah, I love it. It's just one of those things when someone recommended it to me. I think Kathy Olivas recommended it to me, and never turned back. It's so good. It's so nice. It's nice when you get like certain aspects of painting to where they just work so well. You never try any other way. You don't even think about it. It's like, this already works perfect. So I'm not going to fix what isn't broken, you know? So it's like, I never looked back, and I always kind of like recommend it to people, because I don't know, doesn't that Damar stuff kind of take forever to dry, and it's stinky, and sometimes it's sticky still, and
easily. Like the one thing that I like about a Gamvar is that like this is something that Matt turned me on to, was that like I like initially I like the idea of like conventionally, like you were supposed to apply the varnish with like a really soft brush, you know, but then I would get certain areas where it was kind of like patchy, you know, and it would dry to where it was like patchy, and Matt was like, no, what you need to do is like use like a bristle brush in some areas, and you actually like physically like you scrub it in, and then it breaks.
Oh, do you mean where it's like beading? No,
not when it's beading, but like it'll still apply, but like it will like, it'll just like not suck in as much as the other ones. So
okay, so it doesn't look even all on.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then he recommended to use a bristle brush, like a thicker, like a more stiffer brush, to kind of like scrub it in. And after you scrub it in a little bit, like it almost like breaks it up somewhat to where then you can apply it a little bit like smoother or like softer, and then it kind of like deletes that like inconsistency of
that's cool. I didn't know that. That's a good one.
But with the beading, with the beading, have you ever heard of the onion? Like, have you ever used an onion with the beading?
I've never used it, but I've heard you rub an onion on the
Yeah.
spot. I just, I guess it works.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I used to apply, like I use liquid all the time, and like I would apply liquid way too liberally, so much like when I was in
Same,
college, to the
same.
point to where it almost become like glass, you know. And then once you get this glass surface, you try to put something on top of it, beads, and then I'll get an onion, and then you wipe the onion on top of it, you let it dry, and then you wipe it off with some water or whatever. Then you come back, and like it's pretty much like it opened up the surface, or it like I guess like melted away something. I don't know, but like it made it to where you can paint on top of it. But now like I'm a little bit more, I guess, intelligent about how I use the liquid, so
Right.
I don't put it that much, so
Yeah.
like I don't encounter that problems anymore. But like
Right.
the idea of just using an onion, or I've also heard a potato does the same thing, but I would use an onion.
It's so weird. I've whenever I've had the problem of Gamvar beating up, I end up, because I never remember to do the onion thing. Like I've never even tried it, but I'll just like brush over. I just keep an eye on it. I wait. It's like, because as it starts to evaporate, as the solvent starts, before it gets like set up, you have kind of a lot of time to mess with it. And I found that if you just kind of keep painting over the beating up areas, it eventually will, fill in or whatever,
Give away. Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it sounds like our techniques are very similar, and it's really cool because I love your techniques. I love your work.
Same here.
It's amazing. It's really I don't know. I see it's cool to see new work that's like really gets you excited. Very inspiring for me to see. So I really appreciate what you're doing. Yeah, it's awesome. And thanks for coming on. I mean, we're already past an hour and a half, so I probably should let you go.
Oh yeah, this is great. Yeah.
We'll have to have you come back on again sometime. Next time, we talk about I'll mention this at the beginning. I'll try and remember to mention it at the beginning on the intro, but you have a show at Thinkspace.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the excuse to get you on, is to promote this show.
Yeah.
So what's up? When does the show open? And this is going to air on a week from today. So it will have opened Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So last Saturday, whatever the date is.
Yeah. So it's open the 16th, and I think it runs until December 10th or 12th or 14th or something, mid-December, like they usually do for like what, three or 4 weeks or
something. Yeah.
And it's just 16 paintings. I've been painting them. I don't know the amount of time that the average person does, like they dedicate to a solo show, but like with working full time, like I gave myself like pretty much like maybe 8 or 10 months to like get things going. Wow. But like about obviously like within that time I was doing like a few other group shows, and I did a couple of commissions or whatever, but like I set myself up that amount of time knowing that like I wanted to have like 16 paintings, and like I had this specific custom framed, and like this different like this view of what I wanted, and like I'm very happy with how it came out. But like the name of the show is called Bizarre Buddies, and it's just like weird looking kids that like are holding weird looking animals, that like I try to create like a relationship between like the kids and the things that they're holding, just to kind of create some sort of like interest that exists between them. But in the end, it's just kind of an excuse to paint ugly, weird shit, and like have something fun to look at in the end. And again, like whether like to make you debate if you like it or not, because like it's painted well, and I spent very much good amount of time painting it. But then it's also like weird, stupid shit. So it's like like where do you fall? Like hopefully you like it, but at the same time, like I very much had fun doing it. So that's the end goal. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I love the humor too. That's the other thing I didn't mention, is like it's funny. They're funny. The paintings are like totally make you laugh because they're so the characters are just so like relatable, and you're like, I've seen that person before, Yeah. It's so and also it's like mixing humor with really refined old masters techniques is cool too, I think.
Yeah. I think usually the approach when somebody's like doing old master stuff or just like
it's get overly
stuff,
serious.
like, yeah, and it's like nothing serious. You don't have to be serious about it. You can still enjoy yourself while, you know, like enjoying the finer things in life or whatever. You know, like it's all a balance. You know, like I enjoy, you know, this, but I want the opposite. I enjoy that, but I want the opposite. So why can you not combine these together to kind of create this like third option, which is just better because it combines both, you know, like why not? Like it doesn't have to be black or white.
Yeah, that's what makes it unique. It's great. So everyone, you got to see his work in person. Trust me, if you can make it out to Thinkspace, it makes a difference. His stuff, your stuff's great online too, but it photographs very well, but you really have to see it in person. So everybody go, it'll be up as of this airing, it'll be up for another 2 or 3 weeks or so. So Thinkspace Gallery in LA. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you and getting to know you and all that. Fun. So the final thing, don't hang up. But when I stop the recording, I always forget to tell the person on the podcast this, but you have to say goodbye to everybody in your own special way. This is a dumb custom. I can't stop doing it. So just say goodbye and however you want to the audience.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye. Thank you for being here with me.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.